It was the age of endless war on the planet Alaris. For 100 years, fire had fallen from the skies, and cities of glass and gold had turned to dust. Two powerful races, the Voltrians and the Zerans, fought for control of the planet's core energy, the Alarian light, a power said to grant immortality. The war had taken everything from Princess Ariana, her father, her friends, and even her hope. Every day she stood on the balcony of her crystal palace, watching the red horizon where explosions lit the sky like dying stars. She was known as the Princess of War, strong and unshaken, but inside her heart was tired of fighting. Ariana was unlike the other rulers of her kind. While most wanted victory, she wanted peace. She dreamed of silence, of hearing the wind again instead of the sound of weapons. But peace was a word her people no longer believed in. Peace is for the weak, the council told her. And humans. They are the weakest of all. The name human made them laugh, as if Earth's people were nothing but stories for children. Ariana had never met one. She had only heard that humans were fragile, emotional creatures, too kind for the galaxy's cruelty. But one evening, everything changed. A transmission arrived from a distant blue planet called Earth. The message said, "We offer peace. Send your representative and we shall send ours." It was signed by a human commander named Ethan Cole. Many on Alaris mocked the idea. "A human will end our war," they sneered. But Ariana felt something stir inside her, a feeling she couldn't explain. Maybe it was hope, maybe fate. The next week, a silver ship entered Alaris's orbit. It was small, old-fashioned compared to their great warships, yet it moved with grace. When its doors opened, a man stepped out, tall, calm, his eyes steady and kind. He wore a simple black uniform, no armor, no weapons. That was Ethan Cole. He bowed to Ariana without fear, though hundreds of soldiers pointed their rifles at him. "I came for peace," he said softly. "Not war." There was something strange about him. His voice was calm, but it carried strength. His presence silenced the room as if even the air listened. Ariana studied him carefully. He didn't look like a warrior, yet when their eyes met she felt something powerful. Not danger, but depth. He looked at her as if he saw beyond her crown, beyond her armor, straight into her heart. For a moment she forgot the war, the council, everything. Days passed. Ethan attended peace meetings inside the Grand Chamber. He spoke simply but wisely. "War doesn't prove strength," he said. "It only proves fear." His words confused the aliens, but they made Ariana think. She began to walk with him through the palace gardens at night. He would tell her about Earth, about oceans that shimmered under the moon, about forests that whispered secrets, about rain that touched the skin softly like love. Ariana would listen, her eyes reflecting the stars. "Your world sounds beautiful," she said once. Ethan smiled faintly. "It is. But beauty is nothing without peace." As they spent more time together, something unexpected grew between them. A quiet connection. Ariana found herself smiling again. When he looked at her, she felt warmth she hadn't felt in years. But she couldn't let herself fall. He's human, she reminded herself. And humans break easily. One night, as the peace talks reached their final day, the palace alarm screamed. A group of rebels, those who hated the idea of peace, launched an attack. Explosions tore through the outer walls. Soldiers shouted as fire filled the halls. Ariana ran toward the control room, but debris blocked her path. The ceiling cracked above her when a massive beam of steel was falling straight toward her. Before she could react, Ethan moved. He was far away, yet in a blink he appeared beside her. His hand grabbed her arm, pulling her out of the way just as the beam crashed down. The shockwave burned his uniform, revealing a strange glow beneath his skin, a faint blue light pulsing through his veins. Ariana stared, speechless. "Ethan, what are you?" she whispered. But he didn't answer. His eyes glowed for a second, then faded back to normal. He only said, "You're safe now." Outside, guards rushed in, stunned by what they had seen. No alien could move that fast. No technology could explain it. Rumors began to spread through the corridors of Alaris. Whispers of the human with impossible power. Later, when the fires were out, Ariana stood alone on her balcony again. She looked at the stars, thinking of the moment he saved her. Her heart beat faster when she remembered his touch, the warmth of his hand. There was something inside Ethan, something beyond human, something hidden. And for the first time, Ariana felt both fear and fascination. the man she had invited for peace, might be the one who could change her world forever. The morning after the attack, the palace was quiet. Smoke still rose from the distant towers, and the sky above Alaris glowed with the pale light of 2 moons. Princess Ariana stood near the balcony, watching the ruined courtyard below. Her golden armor reflected the broken sunlight, but her thoughts were dark and confused. The image of Ethan saving her, the way he moved, the blue light that burned beneath his skin, replayed again and again in her mind. No human could do what he did. No one could move like that, not even the strongest warriors of Alaris. It was as if time had slowed for him alone. She had seen his eyes glow just for a heartbeat, but when she tried to speak of it, her advisors dismissed it. "Perhaps you imagined it, my queen," they said. Yet Ariana knew what she saw. She wasn't imagining anything. That afternoon, she went to find Ethan. He was in the medical wing, sitting quietly as the healers checked his burns. His uniform was torn, showing faint glowing lines under his skin that pulsed slowly like veins of energy. When Ariana entered, the healers bowed and left them alone. She stepped closer, her voice low. "What happened last night? That light, what was it?" Ethan looked at her for a long moment before speaking. "You wouldn't believe me even if I told you." "Try me," she said, folding her arms, her tone firm but her heart racing. He gave a small smile, the kind that hides pain. "It's nothing to worry about. Just an old injury. From long ago," she frowned. "Old injuries don't glow, Ethan." He looked away, silent. She could sense the walls he built around his truth. Still, she felt something strange, and not fear but curiosity. His mystery drew her closer, even when her mind told her to stay away. Later, during the council meeting, the alien generals demanded answers. "Why do we trust this human?" "He hides something," shouted General Kale, his voice echoing across the chamber. Perhaps the attack was his doing. Ariana stood up sharply. "Enough!" "He risked his life to save mine." Her voice cut through the hall like a blade. "If he meant harm, I'd be dead." Silence followed. Ethan sat quietly beside her, his face calm but his eyes heavy. He was grateful yet uncomfortable under her defense. When the meeting ended, he walked beside her down the long corridor. "You didn't have to protect me," he said softly. "I protect those who deserve it," she replied. "And you do." For a brief moment, their eyes met. The air between them felt heavy, alive with unspoken things. Ariana looked away first, pretending to study the glowing crystal walls. "You said you came for peace. Yet peace comes with truth. If you hide something from me, I can't trust you." Ethan hesitated. "Some truths are dangerous, even to speak. Then why do I feel safe with you?" she whispered before she could stop herself. He smiled faintly, sadness in his eyes. "Maybe that's the danger." The following nights grew quiet again. The palace repaired its walls, but not its rumors. Everywhere Ethan walked, whispers followed. The human who moves faster than light, the man with fire in his blood. Some feared him. Others wanted to test him. Ariana, however, found herself drawn to him even more. She would find excuses to visit him, to ask about Earth, about his people, about what it meant to be human. He told her stories of oceans that touched the sky, of sunrises that painted everything gold, of love that made warriors gentle. She would listen silently, imagining it all, wishing she could see it for herself. One evening, they stood together in the royal garden. The stars above shimmered through the glass dome. Ethan looked up. "Your stars are so different from ours," he said. "Maybe," she answered, "but they shine the same." He looked at her then, truly looked. "You don't belong to war, Ariana. You belong to peace." Her heart ached at his words. "Peace doesn't belong to me," she said softly. "It's a dream I can't hold." He took a small step closer, his voice barely above a whisper. "Then let me help you hold it." For a heartbeat, time stood still. She could hear her own heartbeat echoing in her chest. His hand brushed hers, a light, accidental touch, yet it sent warmth through her entire body. But before she could speak, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed from the corridor. A guard entered, bowing low. "Your Highness, the council demands your presence." "They've discovered something strange about the human ship." Ethan stiffened slightly. Ariana turned to the guard. "What kind of something?" She frowned. "Old injuries don't glow, Ethan." He looked away, silent. She could sense the walls he built around his truth. Still, she felt something strange, and not fear but curiosity. His mystery drew her closer, even when her mind told her to stay away. Later, during the council meeting, the alien generals demanded answers. "Why do we trust this human?" "He hides something," shouted General Kale, his voice echoing across the chamber. Perhaps the attack was his doing. Weeks passed after the royal wedding, and the war that had burned for a century finally grew quiet. For the first time in generations, the skies of Alaris were clear. No explosions, no fleets, no screams echoing through the clouds. The people began to believe in peace again. Children played in the golden streets and merchants reopened their markets. Songs replaced sirens. The union of the alien princess and the human ambassador had truly changed something in the hearts of both worlds. Princess Ariana and Ethan Cole became symbols of hope. Wherever they went, crowds gathered to see them. Some bowed in respect, others watched in awe, a living proof that love and peace could exist between species once divided by fear. But not everyone celebrated. In the shadows of the royal city, whispers still spread. Whispers of those who believed the human was too dangerous to live. Ariana tried to ignore the rumors. Her focus was on rebuilding her world. Every morning she stood on the palace balcony looking at the sunrise, the same view she had once watched alone. Now Ethan often joined her, standing quietly beside her, his gaze lost in the horizon. He seemed peaceful, yet there was always something hidden behind his calm. One morning she asked softly, "Do you ever miss Earth?" He smiled faintly. "Sometimes, but I think I've found something better here." Her heart fluttered. She looked away quickly, pretending to adjust her golden wrist plate. "You always say things like that," she murmured. "I mean them," he replied, his voice gentle. Their days together were simple, almost human. They shared meals, walked through the royal gardens, and sometimes trained together. Ethan taught her how humans fought, not with energy blades or psychic weapons, but with focus, instinct, and courage. Ariana was a skilled warrior, but Ethan's movements were different, unpredictable, fluid, almost supernatural. One evening, as they sparred under the fading light, she managed to corner him, her blade pressed lightly against his chest. "You're holding back again," she teased. Ethan chuckled. "Maybe I just don't want to hurt you." She tilted her head, smiling. "You think you can?" He grinned and in one swift move reversed their positions. In the blink of an eye, she was the one pinned against the training wall, her breath caught between surprise and laughter. His eyes met hers, and for a brief second the world stopped. The golden light of sunset painted his face, and she felt the warmth of his body close to hers. Neither spoke. They didn't need to. The silence between them said more than words ever could, but peace never lasts forever. That night, a strange energy pulse shook the palace. The lights flickered and the guards rushed to their stations. From the control room, reports came flooding in, unknown energy signals around the planet's orbit. It was faint, but it matched the same energy signature that radiated from Ethan. The council gathered in secret. They didn't invite Ariana, but she heard their whispers. "He's attracting something," one general said. "Those readings weren't here before his arrival." "He's dangerous," another added. "Whatever power he carries could wake something ancient." Ariana stood outside the chamber, her heart pounding. She wanted to storm in and defend him, but for the first time doubt crept into her heart. Was Ethan's power truly safe? She remembered the blue glow under his skin, the energy that could destroy ships in seconds. What if the council was right? That evening, when she found Ethan in the royal garden, she couldn't hide her worry. He stood beside the fountain, staring at the sky. The moons reflected in his eyes like cold silver light. "Ethan," she said softly, "they're saying things. About you. About your power." He turned to her, calm as always. "I know. Then tell me the truth." "Are you dangerous?" He took a deep breath. "Everyone is dangerous, Ariana. Even you," she shook her head. "You know what I mean. That energy, it's not normal. What if it hurts someone?" He stepped closer, his voice low. "It's not meant to hurt anyone, but it's part of me now. I can't turn it off." She looked into his eyes, searching for any sign of deceit, but found none. "Just sadness. Deep, lonely sadness. I trust you," she whispered. He smiled faintly. "That's what scares me the most." The next few days grew uneasy. Strange dreams haunted Ariana at night. Visions of stars burning, of Ethan standing in fire, his eyes glowing like the core of a dying sun. She'd wake up sweating, her heart racing. Each morning, Ethan would look at her and ask, "Bad dreams again?" She'd nod but never tell him what she saw. Then one night, the impossible happened. An alien patrol intercepted an unknown ship entering Alaris's atmosphere. No identification, no known design. Before they could make contact, the ship exploded in a burst of blue light, the same color as the glow inside Ethan. The energy wave rippled across the skies, disabling communication towers. Panic spread through the city. The council demanded answers. The generals pointed fingers at Ethan again. "He brought this!" "The human is a beacon for whatever threat this is." Ariana refused to believe it, until she saw it herself. Late that night, she entered his private quarters, and there, through the dim light, she saw him standing before the mirror, his hands glowing brighter than ever before. Blue veins of light pulsed across his chest, spreading like lightning. He looked at her reflection, his voice heavy. "It's getting stronger. I can't control it anymore." She stepped forward, her voice trembling. "Ethan, what's happening to you?" He turned to her, his face filled with pain. "It's not just power, Ariana. It's something alive inside me. Something waking up." Her heart sank. The man she married for peace and the man she was starting to love was changing into something unknown. Something the galaxy might not survive. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky, and the palace lights flickered again. The calm that had blessed their world was fading, and the storm was only beginning. The thunder that rolled across the sky that night was not from the weather. It was the sound of something awakening. Deep beneath the surface of Alaris, ancient energy lines began to pulse, the same blue hue that glowed beneath Ethan's skin. The air around the royal palace felt charged, heavy with power and fear. Princess Ariana stood on her balcony, staring into the distance. The city lights flickered in the darkness, and the once peaceful skies now rippled with strange currents of blue light. Her heart beat fast, not from fear, but from the memory of Ethan's voice echoing in her mind. "It's alive inside me." She turned sharply when the doors behind her opened. Ethan stepped out, dressed in his black uniform, the faint glow still running under his skin. His expression was calm, but his eyes looked exhausted. "You shouldn't be here," she said quietly. "The council is searching for you." "I know," he replied. "They think I'm the reason for the energy surges." "Are they wrong?" she asked. He hesitated for a moment, then whispered, "I don't know anymore." Ariana moved closer, her golden armor catching the moonlight. "Tell me the truth, Ethan, please." He looked into her eyes, his voice heavy with guilt. "The power inside me. It was supposed to die years ago. But your planet woke it up. Something here, the energy core of Alaris, and it reacts to me. It's calling to whatever's left inside." Her eyes widened. "Then the planet itself." "Yes," he said softly. "Alaris is awakening something far bigger than either of us." Before Ariana could respond, a sudden explosion shook the palace. The walls trembled, alarms blared, and soldiers rushed through the corridors. From the balcony, she could see enemy ships descending. Rebels led by General Kale, the man who had always opposed her marriage. "They've come for you," she said. Ethan nodded grimly. "Then let's not make it easy for them." Moments later, the palace gates burst open. Soldiers in black armor stormed through, firing plasma blasts that lit the halls in flashes of red and blue. Ariana drew her sword, its golden blade humming with energy, while Ethan moved beside her unarmed. But as the first wave of attackers came close, he raised his hand, and the world seemed to freeze. A pulse of blue light erupted from him, throwing soldiers back like leaves in a storm. The marble floor cracked beneath his feet, and the air itself shimmered with raw power. Ariana shielded her eyes, feeling the heat of it wash over her. When the light faded, dozens of soldiers lay unconscious across the floor. Ethan stood at the center, breathing hard, his eyes glowing bright blue. Ariana stared at him in awe. "Ethan, you could have killed them." "I didn't want to," he said quietly. "I'm trying not to." But more troops kept coming. Kale himself entered the hall, his armor shining with a cruel silver gleam. "I knew it," he shouted. "The human is no savior, he's a weapon." "Kale, stop this madness," Ariana yelled. "He's trying to protect us," Kyle sneered. "Protect? He's the cause of it all. Look at him." He raised his plasma rifle and fired. The blast hit Ethan square in the chest. For a split second, Ariana gasped. Then the light exploded. The energy around Ethan flared, brighter than ever before. Time seemed to slow. His wounds closed instantly, his veins burning with blue fire. He lifted his gaze, and the power within him fully awakened. The hall filled with blinding light as energy waves radiated from his body, bending metal, cracking stone. Kyle and his men were thrown backward, their weapons shattering like glass. Ariana ran to him, shouting his name. "Ethan, stop! You'll destroy everything!" But his eyes were distant now, glowing like twin stars. His voice was deep, echoing as if something else spoke through him. "They want war. I'll give them peace." The energy around him grew violent, shaking the palace foundations. Ariana reached him, grabbing his hand. "Ethan, look at me. You're not a weapon. You're human. You're mine." Her voice broke through the storm. For a moment the light dimmed, his breathing steadied. His glowing eyes softened as he looked down at her. "Ariana," he whispered, his voice trembling. "You always find me." Then he collapsed. The energy vanished and silence returned. Ariana caught him in her arms, her heart pounding. The room was in ruins. Soldiers unconscious, walls cracked, the air heavy with smoke and dust. She brushed his hair from his face, tears filling her eyes. "You saved us again," she whispered. He opened his eyes weakly. "No, I almost lost control. If I hurt you—" "You didn't," she said firmly. "You never will." Before she could say more, footsteps echoed from the corridors. The council guards arrived, not to help, but to arrest. "The council has ordered the humans' capture," one of them announced. "He is too dangerous to remain free." Ariana stood quickly, drawing her sword. "You'll have to go through me first." "Your Highness," the guard warned. "Disobeying the council means exile." "Then so be it," she said coldly. "He's my husband, and I won't let you take him." The guards hesitated, but Ariana's glare left no room for argument. She turned back to Ethan and whispered urgently, "We have to leave now." Ethan struggled to his feet, still weak from the surge. "Ariana, if they're right, if I'm the danger, then I'll face it with you," she said. "You brought peace once. We can do it again." Together they fled through a hidden passage beneath the palace, an old tunnel leading to the forest beyond the city. As they disappeared into the night, the council declared Ethan an enemy of the crown and ordered a full search of the planet. But Ariana didn't care. For the first time, her heart was clear. She would rather live as a fugitive beside the man she loved than rule a peaceful world without him. And as they escaped into the glowing wilderness of Alaris, the wind carried a soft hum, the same pulse that had once nearly destroyed everything. But this time it sounded like a heartbeat. The stars looked different from the small moon where they hid, quieter, colder, and far away from the chaos of Alaris. The pale silver light of the twin moons washed over the rocky hills and the small abandoned outpost where Ariana and Ethan had taken shelter. The nights were long, but for the first time in weeks there was peace, the kind that came only in the quiet between storms. Ariana sat near the small fire Ethan had built, her golden armor laid aside. The soft light danced on her face as she stared at him. The man who had saved her, defied her world, and now carried a power that even the stars feared. Ethan sat across from her, wrapping a strip of cloth around a wound on his arm. The faint blue glow beneath his skin pulsed softly like veins of light. "You shouldn't have come with me," he said finally, breaking the silence. "Your people will call you a traitor." Ariana smiled faintly. "Let them. I'm tired of being their perfect queen." He looked at her, his expression torn between love and guilt. "You gave up everything for me." "I didn't," she said softly. "I chose you." There's a difference. For a moment, neither spoke. The wind outside whispered through the cracks in the old metal walls. Then Ariana asked the question she had been holding in her heart since that night in the palace. "Ethan, what are you really?" He froze. The firelight flickered across his face, and for the first time she saw real fear in his eyes. He sighed, his voice quiet and heavy. "I was human. At least I used to be," her heart sank. "Used to be?" "When the war between Earth and the outer colonies began," he continued, "I was a soldier, part of a project called Sentinel. They experimented on us, trying to create warriors who could survive alien battlefields. I volunteered, thinking it would save lives. And it changed you?" He nodded slowly. "They fused human DNA with energy from something they found in deep space, an artifact older than any star map. It gave me strength, reflexes, even healing, but it also gave me something I can't control. When I use too much power, it tries to take over. Ariana's voice trembled. Take over? It's not just energy, he said, his eyes glowing faintly blue. It's alive. And when I lose control, it doesn't care who gets hurt. Silence filled the room. The fire cracked softly and the glow from his veins dimmed. Ariana moved closer, her hand brushing his. Then we'll learn to control it. Together. He looked up at her, his voice almost a whisper. You don't understand, Ariana. The Council was right to fear me. If the core of Alaris truly connects to this power, it could destroy the entire planet. She met his gaze without flinching. Then we'll keep it from waking up again. You're not a monster, Ethan. You're the reason Alaris still stands. Their eyes met, and for a heartbeat the world around them faded. The firelight painted their faces in gold and blue, the air between them heavy with unspoken emotion. He leaned closer, his voice barely audible. You shouldn't love me. Too late, she whispered. Their lips met softly, a kiss born not of desire, but of everything they'd endured. Pain, loss, hope, and a fragile promise of peace. For a moment the energy in Ethan's body responded, glowing brighter but gentle as if her touch calmed the storm within. When they pulled apart, Ariana smiled faintly. See? Even your power listens to me. He laughed quietly, the first real smile she'd seen on him in days. You're dangerous, princess. Only when I have to be, she teased. But the peace didn't last. A distant rumble shook the ground beneath them, followed by the faint sound of ships breaking through the atmosphere. Ethan's head snapped up. They found us. Ariana rushed to the window. In the night sky she saw 3 royal cruisers descending, the Council's insignia glowing bright across their hulls. Her heart raced. They're here for you. Ethan stood, his hand tightening around his weapon. Then I'll draw them away. No, Ariana said sharply. You're not leaving me again. He turned to her, eyes full of pain. If I fight, I could lose control. I won't risk hurting you. She stepped closer, her voice steady and fierce. And if you leave, I'll come after you. You're not alone in this anymore. The door behind them exploded inward as Council soldiers stormed in, weapons raised. By order of the High Council, the human is under arrest. Ariana drew her plasma blade, golden light filling the room. You'll have to kill your queen first. Ethan's power flared, blue lightning dancing across his hands. The soldiers hesitated, fear flickering in their eyes. For a moment, no one moved. Then Ethan's voice cut through the silence, calm and deadly. You want me? Come and take me. The battle was fierce. Plasma bolts flew through the air, energy clashing with steel. Ariana fought beside him, her movement swift and graceful, her sword cutting through the chaos like light through darkness. Ethan's power surged again, shielding her from blasts, bending the air around them like a living force. But even as they fought, the pain in Ethan's eyes grew. The power inside him was awakening again, stronger, faster. His breathing became ragged, the glow in his skin burning brighter. Ethan, stop, Ariana cried out. You're losing control. He dropped to one knee, clutching his chest, light bursting from his hands. The ground cracked beneath him as the energy lashed out in wild, uncontrollable waves. The soldiers were thrown back, walls collapsing under the force. Ariana ran to him, grabbing his shoulders. Look at me. Ethan, look at me. His voice broke. I can't hold it back. Yes, you can, she whispered, pressing her forehead against his. You're not alone. I'm here always. Her touch steadied him. Slowly, the energy began to fade. The blue light softened, wrapping around them like a warm breath before finally dying down. Ethan collapsed against her, exhausted but alive. Outside, the sky was filled with burning wreckage. The ships retreating, the Council forces defeated for now. Ariana held him close, tears of relief streaming down her face. We'll find a way, she whispered. We'll make them see you're not their enemy. Ethan smiled weakly. As long as you're with me, I'll fight for it. As the dawn rose over the barren moon, painting the horizon in gold and blue, they stood together, a queen and a human, fugitives bound by love and destiny. The war between worlds was far from over, but for the first time they weren't running from it. They were running toward something greater, a truth that could either save both their worlds or destroy them completely. The morning after the battle was quiet. Too quiet. Smoke still curled in the distance where the Council's ships had fallen. and the air smelled faintly of metal and fire. Ariana stood at the edge of the ridge, the rising sun painting her face in soft gold. Ethan slept inside the small shelter, his body still weak from the power that had nearly consumed him. For the first time in days, she allowed herself to breathe. They had survived. But peace, she knew, was only an illusion, a fragile calm before something worse. As she watched the horizon, a small holographic beacon blinked near the rocks. It wasn't hers. Someone had found them. Her heart raced as she ran to it. The message was encoded in royal signal, the same frequency only used by her most trusted advisor, Commander Lyra. Ariana pressed the button and Lyra's projection appeared, a tall woman in silver armor, her expression cold. "Your Highness," she said, "I wish this could be a friendly message. But you've left us no choice." "What do you mean?" Ariana demanded. "The council has voted. You are to be stripped of your crown for treason, aiding the enemy, endangering Alaris, and defying royal command." Ariana's chest tightened. "Treason? After all I've done for peace?" Lyra's gaze didn't soften. "You've chosen a human over your own people. You've chosen emotion over duty. That makes you a danger, the same as him." The message cut off before she could respond. The beacon self-destructed, leaving only a small trail of smoke behind. Ariana stood frozen for a moment, staring at the ashes in her palm. Then she turned toward the shelter, anger and sorrow swirling in her chest. Inside, Ethan was awake, sitting up weakly. When he saw her face, his eyes darkened. "They found us?" "Not yet," she said. "But they will. They've branded me a traitor." He looked away, guilt crossing his face. "Because of me." She knelt beside him and took his hand. "No, because of fear. They don't understand what we're fighting for." He squeezed her hand gently, his voice low. "Ariana, listen. I've been thinking. Maybe if I surrender myself, they'll stop hunting you. You can go back. Reclaim your throne." Her eyes widened. "You can't mean that." "I do," he said softly. "You were born to lead them. I wasn't born here at all. If giving myself up means saving you, saving your people, then it's worth it." She shook her head, tears in her eyes. "You think I care about the throne?" "I don't. I care about you." Before he could answer, a sharp sound echoed outside, footsteps soft but steady. Ethan instantly stood, pain flashing in his eyes but his instincts sharp. He motioned for her to stay back and moved toward the door. When he opened it, he saw a figure standing on the ridge. It was Lyra. She stepped forward, removing her helmet. "Ariana, you shouldn't have made me come here." Ariana walked out beside Ethan, her tone cold. "So this is how you show loyalty? By betraying your queen?" Lyra's expression didn't change. "I'm loyal to Alaris, not to a love that could destroy it." "You don't understand," Ariana said. "Ethan's not the enemy." Lyra looked at him with disdain. "He's human. That's reason enough." Ethan clenched his fists, blue light flickering under his skin. "I don't want to fight you." "Then surrender," Lyra said calmly. "Come quietly, and maybe I can convince the council to spare her." Ariana's voice rose in anger. "You think I'll stand by while you take him?" Lyra sighed. "You leave me no choice." Before anyone could move, Lyra drew her plasma blade and lunged. Ethan reacted instantly, catching her strike midair. The energy from the weapon hissed against his glowing hand, and sparks flew between them. Ariana shouted, drawing her own blade, and the air filled with the sharp sound of metal and power colliding. They fought across the ridge, light and fire flashing in bursts. Lyra was fast, but Ethan was faster. He disarmed her with a surge of energy that sent her weapon flying. She fell to her knees, her eyes wide in shock. "Enough!" Ariana yelled, stepping between them. "I won't let this go further." Lyra looked up, breathing hard. "You can't protect him forever, Ariana. The council will burn every city on this planet if that's what it takes." Ariana lowered her sword, her voice trembling. "Then they'll have to go through me first." Lyra's eyes softened for just a second. "You're my queen, and my friend, but you've doomed yourself." She pressed a small device on her wrist and a red beacon flared in the sky. A signal. "They'll be here within the hour." Before Ethan could stop her, Lyra vanished in a burst of teleport light. Ariana stood frozen, staring at the sky. "She's called them here." Ethan turned to her, his expression grim. "Then we run." "No," she said, shaking her head. "We fight. This time, we end it." He looked at her, seeing not just a queen but a warrior, fierce, determined, and ready to burn for love. If we fight, he said softly, we do it together. She smiled faintly. Always. The sky above them shimmered as dozens of ships descended, silver and gold engines roaring like thunder. Ariana and Ethan stood side by side on the ridge, their figures outlined in the rising sun. She drew her sword. He let the blue fire rise in his hands, and as the first ships broke through the clouds, the two of them faced the sky, a human and a queen against an entire world. Their love had started a war. But it might also be the only thing that could end it. The sky above Alaris burned with light. The Council's fleet filled the heavens, thousands of ships spreading across the horizon like a storm of metal and fire. From the ridge where they stood, Ariana and Ethan could see it all, the end of everything they had known. The air hummed with the sound of engines, the ground trembling as the first warships descended. Ariana's golden armor gleamed under the rising sun. Her sword pulsed faintly with light, matching the rhythm of her heartbeat. Beside her, Ethan stood tall, his eyes glowing in eerie blue. The faint hum of energy surrounded him like a living storm. "This is it," he said quietly. "No more running." Ariana nodded, her face calm but her heart racing. "If this is how it ends, then we end it together." He looked at her, really looked, memorizing her face as though this moment was all he had left. "You've changed me, Ariana. Before I met you, I fought to survive. Now, I fight because I have something worth living for." Her throat tightened. "Then live for me." He smiled faintly, touching her cheek. "I'll try." The first wave of council ships opened fire. Blinding beams of energy streaked toward them, tearing through the ridge. Ethan raised his hand, and a barrier of blue light burst from the ground, catching the blasts mid-air. The explosions rippled around them, shaking the earth, but the shield held firm. Ariana charged forward, her sword cutting through the chaos. Every strike of her blade sent golden sparks flying, every movement filled with fury and grace. She was no longer just a queen. She was the warrior her ancestors had spoken of in legends. Ethan followed, his energy flaring like lightning. He leapt into the air, landing on one of the descending ships, his power melting through metal like fire through snow. He tore open the hull and sent the soldiers flying back with a single wave of his hand. The power inside him, once feared, now answered only to his will. Down below, Ariana fought her way through waves of enemies, her armor dented, her hair flying loose, her eyes burning with purpose. The battlefield glowed with gold and blue, their colors, their bond. But as the fight raged on, Ethan felt something inside him shift. The energy was growing too strong again, like a tide rising beyond control. He could feel it spreading through his body, his pulse quickening, his skin burning from within. Ariana saw it too. "Ethan!" she shouted. "Stop! You're losing control." He fell to one knee, clutching his chest. The ground cracked beneath him as the blue fire surged outward, swallowing everything in sight. The ships in the sky faltered as shockwaves of pure energy rippled through the air. The clouds above began to swirl, forming a massive vortex of light. Ariana ran to him, her heart breaking. "Ethan, look at me. You can fight this." His eyes glowed bright and too bright. "It's too late," he whispered. "It's waking up. The thing inside me. It wants to finish what it started." She knelt beside him, holding his face in her hands. "No. You decide what happens now. Not the power, not the council. You." He looked at her, trembling. "If I release it, it'll destroy everything." A tear rolled down her cheek. "Then take it with you. But don't let it take you from me." He smiled sadly, the glow around him pulsing faster. "You always were the brave one." She leaned forward and kissed him, a kiss filled with love and sorrow. The energy around them stilled, just for a moment. Then Ethan rose, his body surrounded by a blinding aura of blue light. Ariana stood back, shielding her eyes. "Ethan!" His voice echoed deep and distant. "Tell them humans weren't weak." And then the sky exploded. A pillar of blue fire shot upward, piercing the clouds and reaching the edge of the atmosphere. The shockwave spread across the battlefield, disarming ships, shattering weapons, and throwing soldiers to the ground. But no one died. Instead, every weapon melted harmlessly into dust. Every engine went silent. Every ship froze mid-air. When the light finally faded, the entire battlefield was still. Alaris, the planet that had known only war, was silent. Ariana opened her eyes slowly. The air shimmered with the last traces of blue light. She stumbled forward, searching. "Ethan!" There was no answer, only the soft wind and the faint hum of energy that still lingered in the air. On the ground where he had stood was a mark, a symbol glowing faintly with blue fire. She knelt beside it, tears filling her eyes. She touched the mark gently. "You kept your promise," she whispered. Behind her, the council ships began to land, their engines silent, their soldiers disarmed. Commander Lyra stepped forward, her helmet in her hands, her face pale with awe. "Your Majesty, what happened?" Ariana turned, her eyes still shining with tears. "He saved us. He gave us peace." Lyra bowed her head, shame and sorrow mixing in her expression. "We were wrong." Ariana looked up at the sky, her voice quiet but strong. "No, you were afraid. But he showed us that strength isn't about power. It's about heart." The days that followed were unlike any before. The war ended. The council dissolved its armies. The people of Ilaris began to rebuild, united not by fear but by hope. And in every corner of the city, the blue light of Ethan's energy still shimmered faintly, like the heartbeat of the planet itself. Ariana ruled once more, not as a queen of war, but as a guardian of peace. Every night she stood on her balcony gazing at the stars, waiting for a sign. And sometimes when the wind was quiet, she could swear she heard his voice in the light. "I'm still here." She smiled softly, closing her eyes. "I know." The stars above Ilaris glowed, brighter that night, one of them burning with a blue light that never faded. The legend of the human who loved an alien queen became a story told for generations, not of war, but of love strong enough to rewrite the fate of two worlds. And somewhere, among the stars, the blue light still moved and alive, eternal, watching over her.